Hello, I'm Sally Wienergrada, and this is What If, Why Not, How, where I ask people who have interesting stories and ideas questions that are on my mind.
Today, my guest is Randy Winston. Randy is here in his role as creative director of fiction at The Blacklist, the matchmaking website that has been connecting screenwriters with filmmakers since 2005. In 2024, it expanded to assisting novelists in a similar manner. After all, what author doesn't want a Hollywood deal? And Hollywood, we hear, is always on the lookout for a great adaptable story. Randy came to The Blacklist with some hefty credentials. An artist, curator, and literary speaker from Atlanta, Georgia, he's the former director of writing programs at the Center for Fiction, which, if you don't live in the New York area, it is a wonderful, wonderful organization, and you should check out their programs. Randy managed, curated, and directed the production of all writing courses, the first novel prize, the Susan Camille Emerging Writer Fellowship, and the Writers Studio membership, which is such an opportunity for authors to buy into that. I know some people who did it, and they just found the experience fabulous. I wish I were starting over so I could do that. Prior to his work at the Center, Randy served as fiction editor of Slice Literary Magazine. He is a 2016 graduate of the MFA program in creative fiction at the New School, a former Orion Magazine trustee, and currently sits on the board of Write On NYC, Write On New York City. I met Randy a couple of years ago at the Authors Guild annual gala, where, by the way, I also got to meet Salman Rushdie. So it was a stellar evening on both counts.
It was a good night.
It was a fabulous night. The gala, the Authors Guild gala, is always a good one. A stellar evening. Oh boy. Randy has appeared in Variety, the LA Times, Deadline, Publishers Weekly, the New York Times, Book Riot, the Atlanta Journal, and Constitution, so many of them. But now he's with us at What If, Why Not, How. Welcome, Randy. It's so wonderful to see you again.
Sally, thanks for having me.
The Blacklist has been making quite a stir in both film and publishing industries. So when I mentioned to some of my friends that I was going to be talking to you, some of my fellow authors gave me questions they'd like me to ask, and I'll be peppering those into our conversation, going into various directions that I haven't heard other conversations about Blacklist go into, and I'm hoping it'll be helpful to everyone. Now, when we spoke at last year's Authors Guild Gala, you suggested I consider uploading some of my backlist novels to the Blacklist. Now, that's the backlist to the okay, which I'm just beginning to do that. By the way, for those who don't know the jargon, backlist books are ones that were published some years ago, may be out of print, and to which the author owns rights. So me uploading my previously published books is just giving them a new life. So what I want to ask you, Randy, is how are backlist novels handled differently by the Blacklist? Wait, before we go there, I'm gonna go with something else first. Why don't you give us a grounding? Please tell us a bit about the Blacklist, your role in it, and how it might work for an author. I think that's the first question we need to ask.
Yeah, and then I do want to address the backlist because I think that's important for authors to hear. So the Blacklist works as a two-way marketplace for writers who have work that they want to share, be it TV, film, screenplays, scripts, pilots, and also in the book space with a full-length novel. So not short stories, not novellas, not nonfiction, not poetry, unfortunately. But right now we're starting with novels. We're not trying to do the thing that some people do where they come into the industry, they come into a marketplace and they try to do everything very quickly. We really want to focus on novels. Novels are a big deal, and we just want to do that very well. And so my job at the Blacklist is overseeing everything that has to do with fiction and books. So be it partnerships, sponsors, working with talking to writers and helping them navigate the site and also navigate things that might be happening as a result of using the site. Working with customer support, working with our readers who we hire as freelance readers to evaluate the work that is on the site. And also just going out into the world and meeting writers where they are to tell them about what the Blacklist does and also just how to think about the industry as a whole. I think it's one thing to work for a company that's in the book space, whether it be new or old. But I always approach my work as an advocate for writers first. And I'm a writer myself, so it's really important to me that I'm thinking about like what are the things that I would be concerned about, what are the questions that I would have. And so a lot of my work at the Blacklist, even before I was hired, when I was being recruited to work for the Blacklist, was thinking about like, okay, how does this work for writers? Because ultimately, if the writers are covered, then everybody wins. So it's like if you take care of the writers, then everything kind of takes care of itself. And as a part of that, it's also not just providing resources for writers, but also helping writers understand how the business works. And that's something that I am like, that's a hill that I will be on until the day that I roll over. Is this is how the business works, and making sure that writers understand that as they're moving forward with their writing and their books and navigating the industry. Because it shouldn't take anybody 12 years, which is like, that's how long I've been living in New York. It shouldn't take anybody 12 years to figure out how all of this works. And so hopefully I'm able to pass information down that saves people some time. So that's the gist of what the Blacklist is and what I do. We just announced some partnerships yesterday and last week. And so there's always something new going on and other opportunities that fiction writers and authors, published authors can take advantage of. So the thing that I do love is that we have opportunities for published authors. We also have a lot of opportunities for unpublished authors.
Could you tell us a bit, perhaps starting with your two announcements yesterday, about what kinds of opportunities you're talking about?
Yeah, so yesterday we announced the Evil Twin Manuscript Initiative. So, Evil Twin is the new horror imprint under Zando. So, Zando is an independent publisher, and they are looking for upmarket, supernatural, gothic, psychological, or any horror subgenre that may intersect with thriller, suspense, science fiction, and fantasy. And it can be a self-published novel or an unpublished novel. And they're looking for something that they can start at a 25K book deal. So that, it's really exciting because there's a horror novelist out there that has a manuscript that they've been working on for a very long time. And, that's one of the great joys of this work is that, there's going to be somebody that gets this. And I'm really excited about that. And yeah, so that was the news this week. Last week, we announced that we're working with Simon and Schuster, which is the third largest publisher in the world, on a backlist title discovery initiative. So these are over 6,000 fiction and nonfiction titles from Simon and Schuster that have already been published over the past couple of years, and TV film industry members who use the Blacklist, who've been vetted to use the Blacklist, now have access to go and search for titles under Simon and Schuster that they might be interested in for adaptation. The thing that I want to note, and it's very important that I make note of this, is that when I say titles are now searchable on the Blacklist, Simon and Schuster, over 6,000 titles, what I'm talking about is the metadata for those books. So the actual books do not live on the Blacklist website. It's just the title, the description of the book, the genres that that book falls under, tags and categories. So things like love, good versus evil, coming of age, those types of things. These are all the things that make that title searchable for industry members who use the blacklist. So it's just the metadata for those titles. And, industry members on the TV film side will now be able to search. And when they're doing a search for a mother daughter coming of age story that takes place in Ohio, industry site wide on our site now, a Simon and Schuster title that matches that criteria will show up.
Will the Simon and Schuster books be separate from all the other books that have that metadata up there, or is it simply when someone searches for that mother-daughter story, will all books that come up for it fit that criteria come up?
It depends on the filters that industry member is using. So you can filter to only look for Simon and Schuster titles, but you can also do site wide. So you can do a search. Like right now, an industry member could do a search where it's Simon and Schuster, all the unpublished novels, all the self-published. You can even do a search where it's the projects that are listed, the projects that are hosted, which are two different things. And it's probably best that I explain that so that it's not confusing.
Please
If
do.
let's take me for instance. Let's say I'm a published author. I've published 4 books, and the TV film rights to all 4 books are available. I can list those books on the blacklist. And list simply means the title, the description, the genres, the characters, the tags, things like sports, Space Odyssey, things like that. So I can list all of those things. If my books were traditionally published, then that means that the rights to those books belong to a publisher, which means I'm not uploading those books to the site. I'm just listing them. Listing them makes them available for TV film industry members who are searching for books. All right. If I wanted to upload a manuscript to the Blacklist website, it has to be something that I, as the writer, own the rights to. So that's typically an unpublished manuscript or something that's self-published, because that's when you own the rights to that.
Or if it's been reverted.
Or if it's been reverted. I will say though, I will say this is, and I'm glad you brought this up. If it's been reverted back to you, the question that I would pose to authors who have the rights to a book reverted back to them is this: do you want that book do you want to pay $30 a month to host that book on the website, or do you want to list it for free? Because you can list it for free. And then if somebody sees it and they love the premise and XYZ, then they can actually reach out to you and say, hey, I really love the premise for this book. Could you send along a copy or something like that? Now, again, this is me saying this. The Blacklist is a for-profit company. So this is what I mean by I want to make sure that writers are taken care of. Like, I could easily have been like, oh yeah, pay that $30 a month, upload it to the site. But I want to make sure writers have options. Now, some writers will go, well, Randy, I want an industry member to, when they see the premise for my book, I want them to be able to look at the pages right away. So I'll pay the $30 a month to host. Great. But I want people to understand that you have options. You can also just list it.
Do you find that the lack of the uploaded manuscript presents any barrier to the film industry professional?
No, no. First things first, no. TV film professionals are very aggressive, and that they do not waste opportunity. That's a that's a shout out to the Hollywood industry. They do not waste opportunity. When they see something, they go for it. Um, I think more so for the writers and the industry members, but more so for the writers. A lot of writers will host their pages, their unpublished manuscripts, their self-published work on the site because they don't want to waste anyone's time. So they want to make sure that if someone sees something that they love, they can immediately start reading it. And so that's fair. I like to make sure that people understand what their options are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's very fair. Actually, that was one of my questions that I had from a few people about that situation exactly. Because some of my friends are award-winning novelists with dozens of backlist books, and for them to consider $30 a month for each one would be absurd.
No, list it. Just list
Yeah.
it. It's free. You can make a day of it. You can put on some beautiful jazz music, or as I like to listen to classical music, and you can just list those books, title, description. It's fun, and then it's there, and you can do a two-step authentication process as well, so that no one else can claim those books as theirs.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's the blue. We have a two-step authentication process for authors. And so when you are an author, like let's say I'm Stephen King and I want to claim all the books and I want to list them on the blacklist. Stephen King doesn't have that problem but I will use that scenario. No one else can claim to be Stephen King because there's a two-step authentication process for him to prove that he's him.
Yeah. Well, I went on to the website. I finally did it, Randy.
Congrats.
I figured before I did this interview, I had to experience it. So I ventured on and I did two listings. I did one of my backlist novels, The Winter Boy, and also my recently completed manuscript, Women of a New Moon.
Congratulations on completing the manuscript. That's not easy.
No, it isn't. Especially this one was one of the hardest I've ever written until the next one that I'm writing, which is even harder. I have this tendency to set goals for myself. And what if I tried it this way? And I grow every time, but oh my gosh, what I do to myself. I swear I lose hair every time. But I found the form very comprehensive, time consuming, because I had to come up with descriptions of every one of my characters within the character count. And you had a lot of keywords and concepts that I really liked because it helps zero in on really what makes each book unique. And it really, I felt you had, the only thing that's missing in this is that you have a drop down of awards and there are other awards that aren't listed that I would love to see a custom thing.
Can you email me those awards because I would love to add those.
Okay. And also, I would love to see the option of wonderful people who've been shortlisted for the amazing. That being shortlisted for like a Booker Prize is an amazing it's an amazing thing, and to have some, maybe even just a comments for field for that, I think that would be very useful. But I really felt like I was beginning to zero in on what made these two books unique from all the millions of other. Of course, I think they're unique, but hopefully they are. And it made me feel like it would maybe even help distinguish a book or a screenplay or a script of any kind from the multitude if one is lucky. And luck has a lot to do with publishing and filmmaking, and who you know, or more importantly, who knows you. I think that latter is probably the primary purpose behind the blacklist, is trying to get others to know these authors. What I'm curious about is, do you have suggestions for creating a book listing on your site that will help stack the odds a little bit in the author's favor?
The thing that I always tell writers is to be as thorough as possible. And I appreciate the feedback on how comprehensive it is. the on the industry side, this is why it is important that we have all of those
Mhm.
drop down menus and options. All of that goes into what makes the book searchable. And so
Yes.
when someone is going, I'll go do demos at a publishing house or at an agency, and I'll do searches in real time. They will say, "Hey, can you do a search for this? Do a search for an like a thriller with a gym teacher that meets a yoga teacher, and it's a love triangle." And I'll do a search live in front of everyone on a projector with my laptop. And so it is very important that writers are, take some time and be as thorough as you can with the projects that you're working on, because that is what makes those books, those manuscripts, those stories stand out and searchable. So that's always my advice, is to be as thorough as possible. There are some writers, I see it all the time when I go on the site, that don't include all the information. And, that's their prerogative. I will tell people as many times as possible, please be thorough.
Yeah. And you've set it up so it's not an onerous thing. It's just time consuming.
Mhm.
You have to set aside a portion of your afternoon to do that, or a portion of your evening to do it. Um, how else can an author be proactive to get their book noticed on your site?
Well, so we also have programs. So we have programs that writers can opt into. So I'm talking about. I'm gonna make a distinction here. So for writers, quote unquote, being noticed, the way that I like to think about it is, what is it that the blacklist guarantees, and then what are the things that you can do for yourself to make sure that you're doing your part
Mhm.
to take advantage of opportunities. So the thing that we guarantee is if you're paying for an evaluation, you're going to get feedback, and that evaluation is 150, right? And that is an evaluation of the first 100 pages of your novel.
And that's $150.
Yes. And for full transparency, the $100 of that 150 goes to the reader.
Oh,
The
good.
$50 goes to the blacklist. A lot of people I know who do business, who are like business majors and have their own businesses, they're like, this is a bad business model. You should be making more money. But for us, it really, again, I go back to the beginning of this podcast. We like, the center of everything is the writer. And so if we're taking care of the writers first and thinking about them, like, how do we keep that price as low as possible while making sure that the readers are getting quality pay for the time and efforts that they're putting into this work, right? And so the one thing that we guarantee as a service is that when you pay for an evaluation, the writer is going to get feedback on their manuscript's greatest strengths, the manuscript's greatest weaknesses, and the industry prospects of that manuscript. Industry prospects, and this is very unique because you can query and never hear back. And so, like, this is, in a way, this is like another alternative to that. And I always tell people to query, because querying is free. Any writers out there know that querying is free. I did it in January. It is free. It's like the easiest way to send your work out. I also have statistics on how many people query in a year, and it's wild. But anyway, the- you the thing that we're going to guarantee you is an evaluation, and the evaluation doesn't say you're a bad writer. It says this is where your work is per this reader who has industry experience in this genre. Because that's how we hire. And so you're going to get feedback. The industry prospects are fun. I enjoy the industry prospects, especially because these are things like, here's some comp titles to think about, books that your manuscript are in conversation with. These are some industry imprints that you should think about. Here's some agencies that might be interested. And also, sell, like, sometimes you'll see even some TV film comps in there, but mostly because these are readers who are from book publishing, a lot of their feedback is book angled. So it's always going to be book adjacent. But it's great because a writer, like, how many writers actually know what imprints are best for their work. Most writers at that
Mm-hmm.
stage don't, because all they're thinking about is, I want to finish this manuscript. I want to finish this manuscript. And so, like, to have somebody go, hey, with some edits, this is where your book can be positioned.
Mm-hmm.
That's some great insight, because now when you query, you can include that information in the query letter.
Mm-hmm.
So
That is
that's
very
one way. And then obviously you can opt into any of our fiction opportunities, any of our programs for free. Like if you have an evaluation and you've hosted for at least a month on the site, then you can opt into any of those opportunities for free. If you have on the evaluation, the overall score is based from 1 to 10.
mm-hmm.
And that 1 to 10, Sally, I always try to preface this by saying this is not a read on who you are as a writer. It is just a read on how excited the reader is about the work, because that's how the blacklist started. The blacklist started basically, it's the story of FOMO. It's the fear of missing out. That's how the blacklist started. And there were industry members in Hollywood who had projects that were being overlooked. And
Mm-hmm.
so Franklin reached out anonymously to all of them in 2000, I think it was 2005 or 2005. And he asked them, hey, can you give me up to 10 scripts that you've read this year that you really love that no one's doing anything with, that are still available? And everyone responded to this survey. He compiled it into a list of, I think it was 80 or 100. He sent it back out anonymously into the industry and called it a blacklist. This is during the time of fax machines. And so he sends it back out, and the industry goes crazy because everyone's like, wait a minute, all of my peers have been voting on this script. Oh, wait, that was in my inbox, or that was in the mail. Let me go get it. Now people are trying to figure out who's the rep for this writer. Does the writer have a rep? And then two of those projects from the top three from the original blacklist, Juno and Lars and the Real Girl, went on to be nominated for the Oscars, and
Wow.
Juno won. And so it was the first time everyone in publishing went, wait a minute, you mean to tell me we can make money and win awards? That's all we do anything for. And so it was like the first time that people got excited about like this industry disruptor, this tastemaker called the blacklist. And so like that's the way we look at the evaluation. Yes, you're going to get feedback on pace, characters, character development, world building, prose, but that is, all of those scores are separate from the overall score. The overall score is simply, how willing are you, Sally? How willing are you to take this manuscript you just read and share it with your friends? Like, how excited are you about it?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
if it's an 8 or higher, we consider that a high score. That's it. And I will tell you, there is a book that was discovered on the blacklist by a publisher last year. It was just published in February. It's called Then He Was Gone. It's by Isabel Booth. That project did not get a high score on the blacklist. But again, the editor was really excited about it, and she shared it with people in house at Crooked Lane Books, and they purchased it. And the book came out the following year. So these things are
Was it
possible.
was it found on the blacklist
Yeah,
or?
it was found
Oh,
on the blacklist.
okay, that's interesting. Now, in order to be eligible for all these opportunities you have, these various contests and recognitions, you have to have paid for one evaluation. Is that correct?
Yes, we have a fee waiver for all of our programs. You have to have at least a month of hosting on the site. The project that you're opting into the program has to have at least a month of hosting and at least one evaluation. The evaluation is for you. It also helps us as we're trying to figure out what best fits what our partners are looking for. But
Mm-hmm.
ultimately, no matter what, you're going to get an evaluation on the first 100 pages of your book. That is something, like, I know that with certainty. I queried in January. You're not going to hear from every agent that you query. And if they tell you no, you're not getting the project's greatest strengths, the project's greatest weaknesses, and the industry prospects. We also have a fee waiver program. So if you look at the services and you go, hey, for 1 month and an evaluation, that's 180. I cannot afford that. You can also sign up for, you can do a fee waiver.
Mm-hmm.
And we're not going to ask you for blood or 3 pages about why you need a fee waiver. It's simply, tell like in short, please tell us why you need this fee waiver. And that's it. 2 or 3 lines, you're in and out. Great. Congratulations. And so we try to, again, it's writer focus. We also want to make sure that we're taking care of our readers because they're reading 100 pages and sometimes it's not really good. And you know that because not all fiction is going to be great or is not in the best shape. And so we
Mm-hmm.
want to just make sure that we're taking care of our readers because they work really hard and everybody wins. And then yes, one month of hosting, one evaluation.
And that's just you have the first 100 pages, and you don't look at the full book at any time. Your evaluators.
Our readers do not. No, our
Mm.
readers only look at the first 90 to 100 pages, but you do as a writer, if you're uploading to the site for hosting, you do have to upload 2 files. The first file is the first 90 to 100 pages. The second file is the full manuscript. This is why we ask for the full manuscript. And this is something that I requested. We do not want to be in the business of editors and agents finding the things that they love on the website. And every time they find it, they go, oh, I reached out to the writer and they're not done yet. They're
Oh,
never, every time I go
oh.
to the blacklist, like, I read the first 100 pages. I love it. But then when I reach out to the writer, oh, they're still working on it. We don't want to be in the business of that. So we want to
Mm-hmm.
be in the business of, hey, these are writers that are serious, but they also finish the manuscript.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why, because some people will say, oh my God, why do I need to upload the full manuscript? I thought you said the first 100 pages. That's for the industry members. This is for your own benefit. We just want to, this is a signal to them that we're serious and that you're serious. That's it.
Okay.
We're not
Um,
reading the full manuscript.
that would be a lot of reading for only $100 and critiquing. What guidelines do you provide to your evaluators to make sure the yardstick is consistent? Do
Yeah,
you?
it is very consistent with the industry standards. So everything down from formatting, the 12 size, Times New Roman, double space. Like these are all the things that if you're going to query,
Mhm.
or if you're going out on submission, these are the same things that your agent is going to ask you to do. And
Right.
so in a way, we're kind of preparing you for that. Have a cover page, like, and we don't ask writers to write a query letter to upload to the site, but you do need to have a cover page with your name, your information, the title, the word count of the excerpt, the word count of the full manuscript. So that way, when an agent's going in, they can click on it and they see that and they can go, all right, this is 108,000 words. All right, here we go. And
Yeah.
that is for the benefit of the writer. We also ask that a writer read through and check for grammar. Like these are the basic things.
Yeah.
And then our readers are expected to go in and check for these things as well.
Hmm.
So if we also ask that our readers go in and check to make sure it's not a short story collection or a novella, because those are things we don't accept. And what makes a lot of this easy on the reader side is these are industry members. These are people that either used to work at a publishing house or an agency, or they still do. And so like it's less laborious for me to explain to them what the expectations are. Obviously, they know that they cannot use AI. If we find a reader that's using AI to get through the work and make an evaluation and summarize, they're gone. And we
Hmm.
have a very strong security tech team, and so we know if
Hmm.
anybody is using anything AI related, that's like one of the beauties of working for the blacklist is that stuff is detected immediate. I get an email, and I don't want to get an email, not like that. And so those are things that we make clear to our readers. But these are industry members. These are like assistant editors, senior editors. These are
Right.
agents and junior agents. These are people with skin in the game, so they also don't want to embarrass themselves. And in
Hmm.
fact, the feedback that I'm getting or that I've gotten is that they're excited because, you know, work can be one-way street sometimes. And so this is a exciting time for them where they can go, oh, I get to choose what I want to read now. And that's really fun. We also have a content advisory. So if our readers, even though they have experience in romance or science fiction, if they don't want to read about child abuse or domestic abuse or rape or gun violence, they can check that off, and we filter out any of the manuscripts that include that stuff.
That's good. That's
Because
good.
we ask the writers to, you know, state, hey, this is included in my work. And so that's done to protect the reader.
I've received a couple of questions that relate to two different questions, very different, that relate to something you've just said. One is rather difficult. Are there fail safes in place, or even if it's possible to have fail safes in place to assure that individual prejudices, such as anti-Semitism or such, don't become factors in the evaluation?
Well, so that's a part of the content advisory. So we ask, it's the content advisory is very, very detailed and thorough. It's kind of like when you were talking about, like, you know, listing a project on the site. The content advisory is the same way when you upload for an evaluation. And it is asking you all of these things. It doesn't mean that we're going to discriminate against your project. That is in place because we need to know so that we can alert our readers who may not want to read those things. And it's the same thing. I think about it the same way I think about something like domestic abuse. Like if a reader does not want to read about domestic abuse, that is their liberty to say, hey, I don't want to read that. And again, this mimics the industry in some ways because you'll get an agent that may not want to read about a child death on the, you know, in a book, or an editor that doesn't want to read about anti-Semitism or racial discrimination. Like you'll get that in real time. And so these are ways to say to our readers, hey, we're thinking about you. We want to make sure that if that's something you don't want to read, great. I will tell you this. I have not come across a reader yet or a project yet that we've had to turn away. And there's been some very interesting stuff that's come in. I mean, I think I'll put it to you this way. There are I got to give credit to a good friend of mine, Laura McGrath, that just came out with the book Middlemen. It's the history of agents and American fiction and literary fiction in America. And she did this study and found that there was on average like somewhere in the ballpark of 1,500 agents in the United States. 1,500. Like obviously there are more, but you know, the number that she got to was 1,500. A lot of she surveyed over 70 agents for the book for Middlemen. And on average, those agents receive 20 to 30 blind queries a day.
Yeah.
So that does not include, hey, Sally, I want to connect you with this writer friend who I know. Or you, Sally, as an agent going and searching on a portal somewhere or going on the blacklist. These are just the emails that come in that you didn't ask for. They're just coming in because your inbox is open. 20 to 30. That's somewhere between 15 to 17 million queries a year.
I know.
And not all of that is going to be good.
No.
And so we're not getting that volume, but we know that volume exists. It's real, and as the blacklist continues to grow, more submissions will come in, and so that content advisory is a means for writers to say, hey, this is I'm writing a difficult story. This is what's included in it. And it's a way for our readers to go, great, this is what I love to read about. And also this is what I want to filter for myself.
You mentioned about agents on the website, correct? They're searching the website. And I find that remarkable because they are so besieged and by queries. Do you have a sense of how many agents are there on a regular basis or on the
So
site?
I'm gonna start. I want to be very responsible as somebody that works for a for profit. But first I want to start with I'm sure that writers go, man, it's very hard for me to wrap my mind around agents and editors using your site because their inbox is crazy. Well, picture this. Think about think about manuscripts as coming to the inbox as groceries being delivered to your house. Now, all you want are pink watermelon and purple grapes. But every day you get lettuce. Every day you get lettuce, peanuts, and blue watermelon. And all you want is the pink watermelon and the purple grapes. And so you decide, hey, there's this thing out there called the blacklist. I'm going to go to the grocery store and do a look around myself. Like, I'm still going to open the door and take what's coming in, but I'm also going to go to the grocery store because I'm still not finding what I want. And so that's all that the blacklist is. It's another tool that you can use to find a thing that you want to rep, that you want to champion. The responsible thing, and I love our legal team because they agreed with me, thank goodness. The thing that we do not do publicly is talk about or like we don't get into the specifics of who's using the site on the industry side and the numbers. And the reason why is because I know, and they back this up, that dictates customer behavior. And the thing that I don't want to do is go on a podcast or when I'm on stage at a writers conference and go, there are 500 Penguin Random House editors using the blacklist, and there are 30 UTA agents and 55 CAA agents, because I know that dictates customer behavior. Now people go to use the site, and they're doing it because they're thinking, oh, that's a great number. This is a numbers game. Let me go use it. And somebody's going to find my book. And then when no one finds the book or things don't happen for them the way that they envision it, now they're upset. And I want to protect writers in that way. So yes, we've been, if you look at, for example, the breadcrumbs, you'll see the reputable people that have backed the blacklist. And we did the first year of the Unpublished Novel Award, and you had people from Roxane Gay to Eric Simonoff and Kathy Belden. Kathy Belden's the editor for Jesmyn Ward and KSA Lehman. Eric Simonoff is the agent for Percival Everett. Victor Laval and LeVar Burton. Like, these are all people that were reading and judging for the Unpublished Novel Award. We partner with Onyx, which is Onyx Collective, which is a subsidiary of Disney, and Simon Kinberg, who produced The Martian, which was a self-published novel. And so, like, these are reputable people who trust and see the vision for what we're doing. And so in those ways, I'm kind of nodding to the crowd and going, all right, guys, all right. But I won't say publicly, because I know I am a writer. I know, I don't have, my book's not published. I'm going through edits now, and in hopes of going on submission at some point soon.
Good luck. I wish you all the luck with it.
And so, I know what it's like to be on the side where you're just hoping that somebody says yes. And so I don't want to dictate how people think about the positioning of their books. And I always tell people to be smart. For some people, the blacklist is not going to be the answer. For some people, it's going to be querying only. For some people, it's going to be an MFA program. For others, it's going to be a workshop with, Sally Rooney or something. You just don't know what's going to be the thing that breaks you through. There's no guarantees, unless somebody says, I guarantee you will get this if you pay for this. And the thing I can guarantee is an evaluation. If you pay for an evaluation, you will get an evaluation. And if you ask for a fee waiver, you'll get a fee waiver. Right. But everything else, I can't guarantee discovery, but discovery is happening. It's already happened, and some of those projects I can't talk about because the publishers and the TV film folks have barred me from talking about it, but those things are happening. It's really exciting. And it's great when a writer emails me and they go, "Hey Randy, it worked." And then we
Mhm.
talk about it and, figure out how we're going to announce it. So these
Right.
things are really exciting, and that's a part of those partnerships that we're building, those programs, excuse me, that we
Hmm.
have, is continuing to think about how we can best support writers and reverse engineer book deals.
Lovely. Um, when I was on the site this past week, I saw that there were screens of what appeared to be lists of recommended books. Am I seeing it correctly? And if so, how does one get a book on your recommended lists?
Yeah, so those are recommended manuscripts, and depending on what you were filtering, probably recommended scripts and screenplays and pilots. Those so a variety of ways. One is high scores. Also high performing projects, and sometimes a high performing project is not a project that has a high score. It is simply a project that industry members are clicking on and downloading and reading. And writers, what I really love about what we have on our platform is that writers are able to see in real time, day to day, the statistics, the analytics on their project on the back end. So they can see how many people are clicking on it. They can see how many people are downloading it. They can see how many people are viewing it. Why is that important? Because you're paying $30 a month. And that's a lot of money in today.
No
Like
other,
that's a lot of money. And
yeah,
I
it
want
is.
people to be able to make sound decisions at the end of each month. Like, hey, it looks like 15 people are interested in my work. I might leave it up. Or no one clicked on my work for 2 months. I might need to take it down and revise it.
Right.
I want writers to be able to make sound decisions about how they're spending their money. I think writers should be doing that in all facets. All facets. Like, I paid over 100K for an MFA. I will never do that again. I'll tell writers now, listen, you actually, if your goal is to publish a book and you think that an MFA is going to help you publish a book, do not get an MFA. That's not what an MFA is for. An MFA buys you time to write.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
buys you time to write. It's not going to position you better to publish a book. I can list off 15 authors right now who didn't get an MFA and they got book
Oh,
deals.
yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah.
I mean, you know. So it's like, yeah, like there's so many different ways to do this, and that's what's exciting about creative writing and publishing, is that there's no
Hmm.
one way to do it.
Right. By high scores for your recommended list, you're talking about the evaluation scores.
Yes.
Yes. I just wanted to confirm that for our listeners. Um, Now, I got a lot of questions on one issue. In this day of age, everyone is worried about the theft of their intellectual property. Um, so there's a series of questions here. What protects a writer's work once it's uploaded to the blacklist? That's the beginning issue.
Yeah. What protects it? So again, we are able to track every project that's uploaded to the site. So we can see all the activity on the project. We know in real time who's clicking on it, who's viewing it, who's downloading it. The other thing that I think about, and Franklin thought so delicately about, is like who is actually using the site. And we vet all of our industry members. So just because you're an agent doesn't mean that you can sign up. You have to
Mhm.
prove that you're an agent, and you have to use your work agency email. That same thing goes for publishers. You will not believe how many industry requests I get from people claiming to be editors from a Gmail account. I'm sorry. I am so sorry. I listen, and in some world maybe you are an editor, but if the end of that email doesn't say HarperCollins or Grey Wolf, or like some independent press that I can go and look on Publishers Marketplace,
Mhm.
for starters, to look up your deal history, then I'm sorry, you're no. Because
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the writers, and I cannot have people claiming to be an agent at CAA or something, And the next thing I know, someone's trying to steal someone's work or spam their email.
Yeah.
One of the things that we give writers the ability to do is select who they want to view each project, and I think that's very important. As someone who uses a site, like for me, I have a writer account and I have an industry account because I work for the Blacklist. I only let industry members look at my work. So
Yeah.
you have the option to by default, no one can look at your project. It's private. So you, as the user, that writer, you have to select industry only or industry writers or public, because some people let their work be viewed by public. So if you take the URL and you throw it into like Threads or Facebook, you can click on the thread. But most people,
Well,
these,
bye publishing deal if you do that.
say again.
Bye publishing deal if you do that. If you it's considered pre-published, previously published.
No. If it's on the Blacklist and it's unpublished, so
But I mean, if they allow the public to see it.
Oh, okay, I got you. Yeah, I mean, I only let industry. I always recommend industry only. I don't know writers in my personal circles who want strangers reading their stuff that are not agents or editors. The other thing I will say too is, and I spoke to editors about this. Someone said, "What if one of your vetted editors steals the idea?" And they laughed because they were like, "Listen, I have so much work to do. I don't have time to think about any outside of what's in front of me." I'm hoping that not only do you have that idea, but you got more like it, because that's what I want to acquire. Um, I get it. It is so scary out here. The things that I hear, the agents that reach out to me and they're like, "Hey, someone's pretending to be me" on the daily. It is it's wild. And so I get it. I prefer that writers be skeptical of the Blacklist from the jump versus like, "Oh, I'm all in, let's do it." Like, oh, you might read everything, read the FAQ, read all the resources, read the guide that we have for formatting. Like, go to the podcast and listen to a couple of episodes about why we do what we do. Don't just jump in, because if you do that with us, that means you're doing that with everybody, and you can't trust everybody. It is scary out here. People are using AI. They're stealing people's copyright, plagiarism, fraud, like. And so the thing that I always tell writers is, before you sign up for the Blacklist, check out everything that we're offering. It's all free. The things that we have available that talk about the work that we do and what we provide is free. It's all there on the website. And I challenge somebody to read through it and go, "I don't trust this." But you have to read through it first. You got to read through it. And that's the thing. I think sometimes writers get very antsy, and they just want to see their name on the spine, and we skip steps. And I don't want to skip in steps.
Right. You mentioned AI a couple of times. A number of people mentioned that to me also. The first issue is, what safeguards do you have in place to keep AIs from scrubbing our works that are uploaded?
Yeah. So again, only the people that we vet can use the site. So the site is not open to the public. Your work is not open to the public. Like, by default, when you upload something to the site, it's private. And we have safeguards in place. Our CTO, who runs the Blacklist and built the website and created all the safeguards that are currently in place. That man runs tests all day, every day. He knows where everyone is on the site at all times. He can tell me where I am on the site at all times. And so, I, like, me personally, I'm confident. Like, I trust that. And when things have happened, very rarely, it's usually somebody that's trying to spam something. and it's usually just like a inbox situation.
Hmm.
But all in all, we historically in the 20 years that we've been operating, we haven't had that issue. And it is because we are very strict about who we accept as industry members to the site. I mean, and it's very important. The thing that I got an email today from a writer, and they were asking me about basically the evaluation was not visible, and they got a high score, and they were like, "I got a high score. Why isn't my evaluation public?" Because you actually have to go into the back end and make it public. Everything by default is private. We're trying to protect
Oh,
you. And so like you have to go and toggle to make something viewable for an industry member. We want you to think through that decision. Because otherwise the only people that can see a manuscript, if you do not make it public, if it's private, the only people that can see it are the people that work for the blacklist. So that's it. No one else can see it. And so that's done to protect you. So when you toggle, make sure you're looking at, okay, industry only or XYZ.
there have been reports, verified reports, that some agents and editors have used AI to read manuscripts to them. Does Blacklist have a position on this that would help to warn agents and editors against doing so without some safeguards in place or at all?
We
And if you found out that an agent, filmmaker, or editor was using an AI, uh, what, if any, would be the consequences?
so okay. So for starters, the I would be terrified if my agent was using AI to read my work.
Yeah, yeah,
But you know, we're in an age where sadly some people are doing that. It's really sad. They cannot do that on the website. They cannot do that on the website. And the thing that I like to guard against, or the thing that I always like to raise, is that if you query, right? And again, this goes back to trust. We
hmm,
work in a trust industry. By
yeah,
publishing is a trust industry more than most other industries. I think some other industries can get loose and fast, but
hmm,
publishing is a trust industry. And so I think about the fact, like, when you think about AI right now, it is the Wild Wild West. There is no answer for how to
yeah,
detect if a manuscript is AI written. There's no way to detect it. And then in order to do it, then some people are using AI devices and so now so now you have to feed the manuscript. So so all this stuff is really scary. And I think about, like, wow, there's a possibility that I could query 12 agents and one of them. And again, this goes back to like querying is free. I would hope that agents that writers query are not using AI.
yeah.
But like you
I,
said,
I,
there are
I can't
verified
imagine.
accounts. There are verified accounts based on
Yeah,
what you just said that some people do. I
yeah,
can tell you that they cannot do that on the Blacklist website because we make sure that there are safeguards in place so that people are not able to use that. We do not use AI. Our readers do not use AI. Somebody said, "Oh, they must have AI reading my manuscript or evaluation." I can promise you, these are real people that have to read those 100 pages. Um, these are actually real people, and then we have to pay
mm,
them. And so
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
it is my hope that no matter where you're submitting your work, that those folks have safeguards in place. I can tell you that we do, and that we do not recommend any agent or editor who is reviewing work on our site use AI at all.
So just to clarify, the books are, the manuscripts are living on your website, but they cannot be downloaded. Is that correct?
They can be downloaded by vetted industry members, yes.
Oh, okay.
But
They can't
again,
be
this is
vetted.
something that the writer, as a writer, you get to choose if you
Mm-hmm,
want that work to be downloaded.
mm-hmm.
Everything that you use on the site, everything that you upload to the site, you get to control the permissions on that work.
Now, Randy, I can't let you go without finding out about your work. Can you tell us a little bit about, you just finished a book, but you have other books published. Tell us a little bit about what you write and what your purpose is behind it. What is it that drives you to do that writing?
First and foremost, Sally, I wish I had books published already. Oh,
Oh,
you would know, but we're working on it. We're working on it. We're gonna get there one day in the future. You're gonna be
I
like, Randy, you got
apologize.
books
I had
published.
assumed you did.
Oh no, it's okay. That's all right. You're speaking it into existence, so it's happening. It's going to happen.
I believe in you, Randy. I believe in you. Well,
Um,
so you have a book that you're querying on, and
well,
you
I
must let
have an
me know
agent.
when it is real, because you know I interview authors.
Yeah, well, so I have an agent. I signed with Meredith Simonoff in February. I'm really excited to be working with her. She is absolutely amazing. And I went through a very extensive process before I queried, and an even more extensive process before I made a decision. But it's Meredith, and we're really excited. The book that I'm working on is about a guy who realizes that the woman who's raising him is not who she says she is. So the entire book is a letter to his dead mother about how he found out, and it's speculative fiction. I'm really excited about it. I've been working on it for a while. I have a big fear of death, and I think it's from my um, upbringing in the Southern churches. And so a lot of this work that I'll be writing about in the future has a lot to do with death and immortality, and like what do you do with inheritance that you didn't ask for, and family, a lot of family, mom son, father son situation. So that's what I'm writing about. It's exciting. It's exciting. I have readers in mind, and it's I've been for the better part of 12, 15 years, I've been supporting writers in the work that they've been doing, and it's been really exciting to watch people go from debut to, like, I've published 3 books, I published 4, and I'm getting awards. Like, all of that stuff is really exciting, and so it's nice to be able to join the fray at some point and be a part of the fun as a writer.
Well, I will look forward to reading your book and perhaps interviewing you when it is published.
There we go. There we go. We speaking it into existence.
Absolutely. And may you also, and perhaps Blacklist, speak my new novel into existence also.
Yes, yes. What genre is it?
Um, it is actually, it's literary upmarket, and it's rather intense. It is,
Ooh, we love
yeah,
intense, Ellie.
uh, it's it's set in the aftermath of a fatal torching of a rural synagogue.
Mm.
And it's 6 women who gather together around the young widow of the rabbi, who gives birth to their first child 2 weeks after the fire. And the 6 women do not know each other well. They're from very different backgrounds, very different people, but they decide to meet monthly to discuss women of the Hebrew Bible. Not that all of them are religious, but that it's something to talk around and about. And what they're really doing is talking about their own brokenness. And they're going to have
Mm.
to start learning to listen to one another if they're going to heal and
Okay.
move forward. So it's sort of intense.
How long have you been working on it?
Shall I tell you the truth?
Tell me the truth. Tell me
12,
the truth.
12 years.
Amazing.
It was,
Amazing.
I had to be able to write my interstitial parts in the voice of someone who'd swallowed the white supremacist lies. And, a supposed newspaperman. And I had to also learn, because I don't know the Bible, I had to study these stories and read all the millennial of, all the many, many interpretations of these women have very little say in the Bible, and somehow they became these big archetypes that we're supposed to be like. And and because I was getting angry at the interpretations over the millennia, this book here, Daughters of Eve, are my essays about that. It became this enormous project, and I grew through it, as we do grow through everything we write, And I learned, and
I feel like it was the hardest thing I'd ever written.
Mm,
I've written other novels. I've written a bunch of nonfiction. As I said, I'm a former journalist. Um, but it was so rewarding, and it felt. I don't know. Are you the kind of writer who loves to write?
mhm,
When I sit down at that keyboard and I close out the world, it's where I belong.
mm,
And it's like my meditation. And when I'm working through such difficult issues that I don't understand, because I don't understand hate, I don't understand violence. When I'm working through that, I find it. I know I don't find answers, but it helps me figure out the questions that I need to be asking myself and the world.
mhm,
And it feels good. It feels good, even when it feels bad, if you know what I mean.
mhm. Yeah, I usually it's ironic that you mentioned a keyboard. I usually start by I'll do everything long form by hand.
Hmm.
And then I'll once the draft is done, I'll go back and type as a form of revision. So as I'm typing up what's in the notebook, I'll just, make changes wherever.
Of course.
But I've for a long, long time. I've been writing by hand since I was a kid, but I've always felt closer to the story and the work
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
some like spiritual way by just writing by hand. So I don't know. Maybe there's like some scientific study that explains why I like doing it that way, but yeah,
It's whatever makes it flow, whatever the muse requires of you.
yeah,
So, seeing that look on your face about writing, I have a feeling more people will now go, okay, I understand about the blacklist and what you are doing on the blacklist. It's
yeah,
because when you said it's the writers that matter to you, because you understand what it is to be a writer, what it is to dream, what it is to have the angst over querying and all that, and the joy when you finally see your ISBN.
yeah. Lord,
And the mock-up of your cover and all that stuff that will be in your near future.
yeah. It's exciting. It's really exciting. I started on the second novel when I gave the book to my agent because she wanted to give me feedback. So when she had it, I started working on a second novel, and that was so much fun. So I had to put it
Nice.
down because I just got my notes. But
Good,
yeah,
good.
it was
Yeah.
fun. It was fun.
Well, I wish you much luck with that, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us about the blacklist. It was
Yeah, thanks
very
for having me.
informative and very helpful, and it was fun getting to know you a little bit.
Yeah,
Um,
same to you.
My guest today was Randy Winston, creative director of fiction at The Blacklist and author. But The Blacklist is the matchmaking website that connects authors and screenwriters with filmmakers. Randy has given us a number of ways you can connect with him and with The Blacklist, depending on your purpose. The Blacklist is at blacklist.com. Now that's blacklist one word, but without the vowels. So it's blcklst.com. You can connect with them on Substack and Instagram with that spelling. And for any questions about the website or for program support, email CS for customer support, I assume, cs@blacklist.com. Remember, blacklist without the vowels. Randy's personal website is randywinston.co, not .com. Forget the M. randywinston.co. For questions about how to partner with Blacklist or to schedule speaking engagements for Randy or Blacklist presentations for writers or other members of the book industry, contact him at randy at blacklist.com. Say it with me, without the vowels. You can also find him on Substack and Instagram. As for me, my two newest books are Of Being Woman, a collection of feminist science fiction from Noble Fusion Press, and Daughters of Eve, which I just mentioned, from Byte Publishing. And that's a essay book that explores the nature of our lives through the stories of ancient female archetypes such as Sarah and Hagar and the essays I've written about them. My website is sallywienergrotta.com. You can also connect with me on Facebook, YouTube, sometimes on Blue Sky, and on Substack. Two Substacks, actually. My personal page of essays, interviews, and such, where you probably found this interview, and on Judith Magazine's Substack, where I host another video podcast, Tell Me More. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and thank you so much, Randy Winston.